All praises to the Most High, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Raha Kodash. Double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, laboring in his truth in all sincerity. Psalm 137, and I'm going to read verses 1 through 4 in the NLT. And this has a subheading of an experience of the captivity. Besides the rivers of Babylon, we sat and wept as we thought of Jerusalem. We put away our harps, hanging them on the branches of poplar trees. For our captors demanded a song from us. Our tormentors insisted on a joyful hymn. Sing us one of those songs of Jerusalem. But how can we sing the songs of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai while in a pagan land?
I've actually fucking had it with the United States of America because, baby, we are living all types of fucking wrong. Like, you mean to tell me I gotta go to work 40, sometimes 50 hours a week only to get 2 weeks of paid vacation while the rest of the world gets fucking 5? Peasants used to get 154 days off. I'm not even treated like a fucking peasant anymore. I gotta drive an hour to work and back if I'm lucky. If I pay to fucking commute, I'm paying for a train or a bus or an Uber fucking ride. And if I'm not doing that, then I'm paying for fucking tolls on fucking roads that my tax dollars already pay to build and fucking maintain. I gotta pay to get a fucking driver's license or a license plate for the fucking driving on the roads that my tax dollars again paid to build and fucking maintain. Then I need an oil change, a tire rotation. Pads are fucking $1,000 per axle on a base model Kia Optima, bitch, since fucking when? You narrowly avoid all that shit by the skin of your fucking teeth. You still gotta afford groceries. You gotta restock the house with toiletries, cleaning supplies. You gotta redecorate every 5 years because whatever the fuck you had done, guess what? It's out of style. And here's an algorithm that's gonna program you into over fucking consumption. You don't have enough eat, pray, love candles in your fucking house. More fucking stickers, taxes, tolls, tickets, and then the fucking kids need fucking photographs. You gotta pay fucking $40 so it can go into a fucking pedophile database. You gotta buy them a new outfit. You gotta buy them Neatos because the algorithm is working double time on their overconsumption just as well as it fucking is yours. Now I gotta drive around to different Five Belows after I work fucking 50, 60 hours a week commuting and paying tolls, paying fees through the fucking nose. I turn around and pay my light bill, my water bill, my electric bill, my Comcast, you fucking name it. They want to charge me a fee to pay them the fucking money that I owe them, bitch. You can't even waive a $5 fee for me to fucking pay you. I gotta sit on fucking the phone for 6 minutes arguing with AI just to get a fucking human being on the phone and tell me why I'm paying to fucking pay them. Shit's fucking bullshit, bro. I gotta pay property tax, income tax, social security. I gotta pay a fucking sales tax. Also that my fucking pedophile of a Satan worshipping, baby eating president can blow up fucking children halfway across the world and stop resources. We got a looming energy crisis. We have a fucking food shortage affecting the entire fucking globe. My tax dollars don't go to fucking healthcare. They give me just enough healthcare to keep me alive long enough to fucking work, but you know, like sick enough so that I'll die before they actually have to pay me fucking social security. They feed me fucking poison. I'm too fucking tired to cook anyways, and if I could, it wouldn't fucking matter. Cause now it costs the same to buy groceries that it does to eat out every single fucking night, but at least I ain't gotta fucking cook. There's no health benefits to cooking your own food unless you growing that shit, and even if you growing that shit, you still got chemtrails and other pollutants in your fucking environment. You can't win for fucking winning. And then you gotta fucking take Ozempic and go to the gym 5 days a week, 2 to 3 hours a day, just to maintain an overweight fucking BMI, just to be overweight by definition of the rest of the fucking world. I literally can't take this shit. I gotta take vitamins and supplements and peptides just to have enough energy to commute an hour to work and work 50 fucking hours a week to get shitty fucking healthcare. I'm fucking spent. Then I gotta have a hunt, grow, build, fish, all of that shit costs to do on my own motherfucking land that I'm already fucking paying property taxes on. It's fees on top of fees on top of fees. They charging fees for fucking fees now. They just making shit up at this point. And I swear to God, I can't tell up from left, down from right. I can't fucking do this shit anymore. And all while this shit is happening, they're fucking constantly attacking your psychological, and even the most strongest person falls victim to the fucking propaganda. They're telling women that being a woman is standing 10 toes down and looking like a Kardashian and being independent and not needing a man. That's what it means to be a woman. woman nowadays. And what does it mean to be a man? It means you fuck a bunch of different bitches and you fucking hate women. All of that shit just attacking love and the central nuclear home in the United States of America so they can have access to turn our children into their fucking slave force. So that they can make our fucking children so miserable they're willing to go and fight off in war. And if they're not doing that, then they're raping and eating them at fucking Epstein Island. Every time I turn around, they're either charging me or attacking me or finding new and creative ways to fucking poison me and kill me and squeeze me for every motherfucking dollar I got, and I can't take it. And then the whole entire fucking world hates you for what your government has done to you, and you're like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Y'all just kicking me when I'm fucking down. I can't go anywhere because they fucking hate us, and even if they didn't fucking hate us, I don't have the fucking money to go there. And if I did have the money and they didn't fucking hate us, I don't have the fucking creative know-how to fucking get there because my government filters me from accessing any legitimate fucking exit plan. And even if I could, ICE is now in the fucking airports. TSA has been defunded. It's a fucking bitch to travel. And next they're going to be closing borders so they can build concentration camps with my tax dollars while a ruling class of Satan-worshipping, baby-eating pedophiles comes for my fucking kids every way, shape, or form. Bitch. Taxes, fees, taxes, tolls, taxes, check engine light, taxes, tickets, taxes, pedophiles, taxes. Bitch, I'm done. I've actually fucking had it with the United States of America because, baby, we are living.
I think she summed it up perfectly there. You know, this is Babylon. And I'm just going to read this post here. This is off of X. This is the individual who posted the video. He goes by the name of Wall Street Apes at Wall Street Apes. This post has 250,000 likes in 48 hours. Well, that's the first 48 hours. I just came across this video today. Americans are losing it, realizing they work more than peasants used to work. And he quotes what she stated. I've actually fucking had it with the U.S. of America. I gotta go to work 40, sometimes 50 hours a week, only to get 2 weeks of paid vacation. Peasants used to get 154 days off. I'm not even treated like a fucking peasant. So you just heard the video. I'm not going to read all of her quotes, but he did add, for reference, in 2500 BC, the pharaoh took 20% of the slaves' harvest. In 2025 AD, the government takes 35 to 60% of your income through income tax, FICA, sales tax, property tax, gas tax, inflation, and fees. And so here we have the richest, most wealthy nation in the world, basically. And the majority of its citizens are living check to check. You know, so most of the citizens of this country, if they lost their jobs next week, you know, would basically be in a world of shit. So how is this possible? How can this happen in the richest nation or the most wealthy nation on the planet? So first of all, let's look at what makes America the most wealthy nation on earth. The United States' status as the world's wealthiest nation is driven by a combination of vast natural resources, high productivity, technological innovation, and a strong culture of entrepreneurship. Geographic advantages, including extensive navigable waterways and arid land, combined with a stable legal framework that protects property rights, foster a robust, high-income economy. Key factors contributing to U.S. wealth include geographic advantages. The U.S. possesses abundant natural resources, a massive fertile landmass, and strategic access to 2 oceans, allowing for efficient trade and energy independence. High productivity and labor. Americans generally work longer hours and have higher output per hour compared to many other developed nations. Innovation and entrepreneurship, a strong culture of innovation supported by top-tier research universities and financial system designed to fund new ventures drives economic growth. Stable legal and financial institutions, a stable market-oriented system that enforces contracts and protects property rights, fosters investment. Lastly here, robust consumer market. High disposable income combined with a culture that promotes consumer spending maintains a dynamic, fast-growing economy. Historically, developments such as technological innovation in transportation, railroads, steamboats, etc., during the 19th century and its position post-World War II helped establish this economic dominance. So, the initial question that I asked, how can the richest, most wealthy nation on earth, which is America, have poor people and people who live check to check? America's status as the world's largest economy while having high levels of poverty and paycheck-to-paycheck living is primarily due to extreme wealth inequality, where a high GDP per capita masks the fact that wealth is concentrated at the very top, alongside a high cost of living, stagnant wages, and working class, and a weaker social safety net compared to other developed nations. The key reasons for the disconnect, and I'm not going to read each one of them, just the actual key point here for each one. The key reasons for this disconnect is extreme wealth inequality, as well as stagnant wages versus the cost of living, high cost of essentials, basic needs such as healthcare, higher education, etc., are very expensive nowadays. A weak social safety net. Compared to many European nations, the U.S. offers less government-subsidized child care, lower unemployment benefits, and no mandatory paid family leave, making households more vulnerable to emergencies. And of course, we all are familiar with the tax structure. The tax system often favors capital gains, wealth over income, wages, allowing ultra-wealthy individuals and corporations to pay a lower effective tax rate than the working class, reducing funds available for public services. So basically, you have a country that was built on the genocide and enslavement and the continued mistreatment of the Most High's chosen people, and now it's bound to fall. So we will put it as a punishment, and this captivity is pretty much coming to an end. But not only has the policies of Babylon been detrimental to the 12 tribes who find ourselves here now, but now it's also even affecting their own people. And those at the top, the elite, they really don't care, which goes to show you that they are pretty much trying to harvest all of that wealth for themselves. They don't care who they're really harming at this point. So as long as they maintain their finances, as long as they maintain the world's wealth, they really can care less about what is really going on in this country or any other country. They orchestrate all of this stuff. They create these particular type of crises, and then they come up with the solution. What we're seeing now is we're starting to basically trot right into, this new one world system that they're actually talking about right now. I think we just heard Donald Trump mention something to the effect of, not the New World Order. I'm kind of having a brain fart here, but he was just mentioning something about this particular system as we know it right now is about to be out the window. They're about to usher in their brand new system. So, but I just want to go back to what I was stating about the 12 tribes being here. And, we were put here as a punishment due to our breaking of the law, statutes, and commandments repeatedly. So let's go into Deuteronomy chapter 32, verses 9 and 10 real fast here. I'm also going to read Zechariah 1 and 15, as well as chapter 2, verses 8 and 9 of Zechariah as well. But let's start with Deuteronomy 32, 9 and 10. And I'll read this in the NLT. For the people of Israel belong to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Jacob is his special possession. He found them in a desert land, in an empty, hollowing wasteland. He surrounded them and watched over them. He guarded them as he would guard his own eyes. In the KJV, it says, he kept them as the apple of his eye. Zechariah 1 and 15. NLT, But I am very angry with the other nations that are now enjoying peace and security. I was only a little angry with my people, but the nations inflicted harm on them far beyond my intentions. And this is exactly what we're seeing right now and what has been happening. It's just being accelerated right now. But it's even being accelerated to the point where, what's happening to the tribes, and this is also in the book of Deuteronomy, these are starting now, these particular curses that we find ourselves under, it's starting now to affect, those who have been ruling over us. They're now starting to find themselves, and I'm seeing more and more of these particular types of videos where they're coming online and, they're basically venting, as we just heard that one woman explaining, even though I do suspect her to be a Jake, but she looked a little biracial to me, but I could be wrong there. But just a hunch. But we're starting to see more and more of these types of videos. Pretty much every time I go on X now, there's somebody, whether Jake, Edomite, it doesn't matter who it is, somebody is complaining about the economic system in this country and the fact that there's so much uncertainty. Not only are you not able to really save any money the way things are going right now, but within the next 2, 3, or even 4 years here, pretty much AI is going to, take a whole lot of these jobs, which is going to basically usher in this UBI, Universal Basic Income. So we can see where this thing is heading, and it's not that much longer before this place completely goes down. But right now, we just have to get through this right here. These are some rough patches here. And, we just have to rely on the Most High, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai. We do understand everything that's in these scriptures here. So once we truly understand what's happening in the scriptures, it is, even though we know what we're about to face, it gives us some comfort knowing that we can rely on the Most High, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, and, he'll get us through this. But right now, it's our duty, to call on the Most High and endure this. The scriptures tell us that he who endures, the same shall be saved. But I'll go back into Zechariah chapter 2, verses 8 and 9. And I'll read this in the KJV. For thus saith Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you. For he that toucheth you toucheth the apple of his eye. For behold, I will shake mine hand upon him, and they shall be a spoil to the servants. And ye shall know that Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai of hosts hath sent me. And I'll read that also in the NLT verse 9. I will raise my fist to crush them, and their own slaves will plunder them. Then you will know that Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai of heaven's armies has sent me. So we're seeing right here that, even the slaves here are also going to plunder, the captives of the Most High's people, his chosen people here. These particular scriptures, like I said a couple of seconds ago, when you understand the scriptures, it actually gives us comfort to know that this is going to happen. There is an end to this, and that's why I was saying, we just have to endure. And, once, it may seem like this is going to get really rough, and the more you watch these things, the more you come across these types of videos, sometimes you may have a tendency of getting a little, depressed. You may get a little sad, but understand, this is comforting actually, because we understand that this is supposed to happen. This is happening exactly the way it was written, exactly the way it was told to us that it would happen. So instead of looking at this as a sad thing or, it's a time to be upset or frightened, this is a time to actually be celebrating, because we understand that that this is the end of this place. This is the end of this captivity, I should say. So us being right here at the end of it, this current kingdom, this captivity is coming to an end. Esau's kingdom, as we all know, this place fucking sucks. So it should never be a sad time to see these events like this, to see these types of videos. This fucking place sucks. There's no other way to fucking describe it. It fucking sucks. They talk this make America great again shit, and even Esau right now knows that's bullshit. That's why Esau has so many videos like this. But this place, first of all, was never great for the tribes. And the crazy thing is, even low-level Edomites here are now starting to go through what the 12 tribes have been dealing with. And that's what I was mentioning earlier. The curses that we were under are now starting to affect Esau in this country. Even the lowly Edomites were raising their noses to Jake in this country here. And not just in this country, but all over the world. Not just Esau, but the other nations as well. So seeing this right here, like I said, this, don't look at it as a sad thing. This should be very comforting to understand that the Most High told us what was going to happen and how it was going to happen. So spiritually, mentally, he gave us time to prepare for this type of stuff. And like I say, once we understand that we can just call on the name of the Most High, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, and we serve him faithfully, and we hope and anticipate that we are of that number, so, we go through this right here and we understand, like I mentioned earlier, that particular scripture that says he who endures, the same shall be saved. So, but it's not just, here in Babylon. This is throughout the entire hemisphere. Wherever the 12 tribes have found ourselves scattered throughout the world, or whatever happens, wherever we find ourselves scattered throughout the world, these curses have been following us. So whatever happens to Babylon is going to have a ripple effect throughout the world. So we look at all these situations that's happening right now across the planet, whether it's China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, all of these particular countries feel that they're next up to bat. They're the next dominant country or the next dominant military. China is not going to rule next. Russia is not going to rule next. It's just not going to happen. The scriptures clearly tell us, for Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. That is in Second Esdras, chapter 6, verse 9. But like I was mentioning a few minutes ago, first we have to go through these particular birth pains here. And I'm going to read Matthew 24, verses 6 through 8. And I'll read this in the KJV. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilences, and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginnings of sorrows. And so, like I said, it may seem overwhelming. It may get to that point where you watch too many of these videos and you feel like, okay, it's enough of this for the day, because you may feel yourself getting depressed. But, like the scripture here tells us, these are the beginnings of sorrows right here. But it has to happen. We understand that there's a much greater world that we are about to partake in, and the 12 tribes are starting with the elect, are going to be, basically under the rulership of Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, but are basically going to be ruling the next kingdom, that kingdom that is to come. And so this place was already spiraling, down the drain really fast. So pretty much since that whole C-19 ordeal, but as we can see right now, it's really starting to accelerate now. So if we scroll down here to verse 22, and except those days should be shortened, there shall be no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake those days shall be shortened. So this war in Iran, this is not going to end. you know, and whatever comes out of that in terms of this war here, you're going to see rising prices, rising oil prices. And whenever there's rising oil prices, everything else goes up. You know, it's that ripple effect, it's that domino effect. And eventually, countries get desperate. You know, once this country sees that the dollar is about to collapse, they'll try to usher in a brand new system. You know, that this is, they're going to say it's out of necessity, but it's really desperation. And so, you know, there's a lot of people right now, you know, their hearts may be in the right place, they may have good intentions, but they're not going to be ready for what's about to happen. You know, and this is why we're seeing people all over the internet starting to freak out now. People are starting to voice, are starting to voice their opinions on a lot of things now. You know, so we're in a time now where people are not going to really be worrying about, channels getting flagged. People are going to start saying what's on their minds. They're going to start calling people by name. As you heard this one lady, in that particular video, she flat out said it. Here you got Trump, Nero. Here you got him on Epstein Island eating babies and, raping kids. That's how exactly what she stated. Right about now, people are not going to try to censor what they're stating. People are going to basically say what's on their minds at this particular point. People are starting to feel like they have nothing to lose. So, and understand, the elites are well prepared for this. They know what's in the scriptures. And this is why you're seeing them, building all of these underground bunkers. This is stuff that they've already been doing, but they're doing it even more now. There's even more like these multimillionaires. Every time I turn around and look, somebody brand new is building some type of underground bunker. They call it the geopolitical event. So they're well aware of what their fate is, and they're trying to escape it. So let's go into this. What is the geopolitical event? A geopolitical event is a significant development, such as armed conflicts, trade disputes, elections, or treaties that alters global, regional, or economic stability, often driven by the intersection of geography, policy, and culture. These events create market volatility, disrupt supply chains, and reconfigure international power dynamics. Key aspects and examples: conflicts and political instability. Examples include the Russia-Ukraine war, the Arab Spring, the rise of terrorism, which impact international relations. You also have economic and resource issues, such as trade wars, which you see right now happening with the U.S. and China, sanctions against Iran and all types of energy disputes. Historical turning points. Events like the Berlin Wall and the collapse of the Soviet Union fundamentally reshaped global power. Structural changes. COVID-19, pandemic, and rise of nationalism are considered events impacting the global landscape. Some synonyms: international affairs, world events, current events, geopolitical risks, shocks. Impact: these events directly cause fluctuations in stock prices, interest rates, and currency values, and often force companies to reconsider their logistics and supply chains. So, the elites are preparing bunkers for the geopolitical event. A growing number of ultra-wealthy individuals, particularly tech billionaires in Silicon Valley, are investing in luxury high-tech bunkers to prepare for geopolitical events or catastrophic scenarios. These preparations often include underground shelters, fortifying homes, and purchasing land in remote locations, with New Zealand being a popular destination. Motivations: some of those things are such as nuclear war, AI-related dangers, pandemics, climate change, cyber attacks, civil unrest. High-end features: modern bunkers are not simply shelters, they are engineered with blast-resistant doors, air filtration systems, hydroponic gardens for food, and independent energy supplies. One notable individual is Mark Zuckerberg. He is building a $270 million compound in Hawaii, including a 5,000 square foot underground shelter. Other reported investors include Peter Thiel, Sam Altman, and figures who are rumored to have scrutiny areas under their homes. And this is why, looking at this thing with Mark Zuckerberg, if you remember a few years back, all of those fires that were in Hawaii, then a few months later we started hearing about this dude Mark Zuckerberg, building, these bunkers in Hawaii and stuff. I think Oprah was another one doing it. So of course, she's gonna slither her way into it, but none of these people are going to be protected. The Most High, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, is basically going to destroy that, and we know that from Amos chapter 9 as well as the book of Obadiah. But I'm gonna get into this video real quick while I'm still stuck on this thing about underground bunkers. And this is Trump, aka Nero, speaking here. And this is about a bunker that he's actually building right now underneath the White House ballroom.
Now the military is building a big complex under the ballroom, which has come out recently because of a stupid lawsuit that was filed. But the military is building a massive complex under the ballroom, and that's under construction, and we're doing very well. So we're ahead of schedule. It's part of it. The ballroom essentially becomes a shed for what's being built under the military, including from drones and including from any other thing. The glass on the windows, you see the big windows, the glass is extremely thick. It's high-grade bulletproof glass, so all of the windows are bulletproof. I think the Times wrote, gee, some of the windows are fake. We have no fake windows. They talked about a stairway on the south. We don't have a stairway on the south. That was replaced a long time ago. But this is a view of it from the north, and that's, if you see it, it fits in with the White House. It's almost a twin to the White House. It's something we just wanted to pay tribute to the White House.
There you have it, So they all know what's happening. These guys, they know what the elite is ordering them to do. Trump, at the end of the day, he works for the elite. He's just a figurehead here in this country, but he works for the elite. He knows what's coming. And this is what they're all trying to escape. This is what they're all trying to run away from. Even, if you listen to Elon Musk, there's a whole lot of talk with him as far as, colonizing, setting up a colony on the moon or even Mars, And it's like, first of all, you're not getting to the moon. You're not getting to Mars. It doesn't really matter what you show on television or, what you try to deceive people into believing. You're not getting to Mars. You're definitely not setting up a colony there. You're not making it to the moon. These people really got, stuff like Space Force. Space Force is out there, and they have this stuff in place in case, they feel like, hey, if the chariots show up, we'll be able to fight back. Sure. But let's go on to Amos 9:2. Just to try to beat home this point here that I'm trying to make. Amos 9:2, and I'll read this in the NLT. Even if they dig down to the place of the dead, I will reach down and pull them up. Even if they climb up into the heavens, I will bring them down. So there's no escaping this, what's happening, They call it the geopolitical event. We just know that this is the day of Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai. And this is going to be a gloomy day for a lot of people, including the elite here. And so we see that they're trying to get prepared. They're trying to dig way down. And so when you read that in the KJV, it actually says, though they dig into hell, so they're trying to go way down there too. If you read on some of these bunkers, some of these things are like 7 stories, 8 stories below ground, even deeper than that, so they're trying to get away. And like I said, you got Elon Musk talking about, hey, we're going to build a colony on the moon, even Mars. They're trying desperately to get away from this because they know what they're doing. They know what's in the scriptures, and ultimately they lose, and they know that. So let's go into Obadiah chapter 1, and I'll start with verses 3 and 4. I read this as well in the NLT. You have been deceived by your own pride because you live in a rock fortress and make your home high in the mountains. Who can ever reach us way up here, you ask boastfully. But even if you soar as high as eagles and build your nest among the stars, I will bring you crashing down, says Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. So there it is again. There is no running. There is no escaping this. And this is basically, I'll go scroll down and read verse 5 as well. NLT, if thieves came at night and robbed you, what a disaster awaits you. They will not take everything. Those who harvest grapes always leave a few for the poor. But your enemies will wipe you out completely. So, this is the Most High basically telling us all here the fate that awaits Esau Edom. If we read that in the KJV, if thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they've had enough? If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? And that just goes to show you that basically backs up what the girl was stating at the beginning, the opening video that I played. You're paying all of these taxes. You get your paycheck before you even really get a chance to enjoy it. They've already taken their share of taxes. They'll say it's their fair share, but we all know it's really the amount that they're starting to tax. I think when I was younger, when I first got into the workforce, if I'm correct, 16% of your paycheck went towards taxes. Something like 8% went towards federal. Then it was like maybe 5%, if I'm correct, went towards state, and like another 3% went into local taxes. Whatever it was kind of divided 8% federal, and then between state and local, it was another 8%. That was 16% of your taxes. Now, man, they're taking like damn near 35-40% of my paycheck. And this is what they do, so. And that's exactly what the scriptures tell us. Would they not, if thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? Not Esau, Uncle Sam taking that damn near your whole shit. Before you can't even really, you have to have a second job. If you don't have a high paying job, you either have to have a second job, some type of part-time hustle, or you have to live a very frugal life where you're not spending, money on frivolous things. You're basically only buying necessities. You're checking the price tag on everything you pick up, basically. Because right about now, you really don't have a whole lot left over on your checks for a whole lot of extra shit anyway. You're basically making enough to make it to your next day. We're getting our daily bread, and that's how we're making it. That's how we are surviving. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. But, if you're not in this truth, and I don't suspect the girl at the beginning of this video is in this truth, you're going to start seeing a whole lot of people freaking out. People, they're not really, they see what's happening, but they really have no way of preparing for it. So it just goes back to what I was stating though, and that's Esau Edom for you. First he takes the land, like everything he's done, he's always is taking more and more, he's never had enough. First he takes the land, then even your own citizens, you start taking directly from them, and that's through the form of a federal income tax, state and local tax, property tax, vehicle tax, land tax. You go to the station and you get gas, that shit gets taxed. You walk in the store to grab a water or coffee, that shit gets taxed again. So every single time you swipe your debit card, or every single time you pay with cash, they tax everything. And it was never like this. Back in the 80s, you went to the store to get a 25-cent bag of chips. You put a quarter on the counter. That was it. That was the entire transaction. Now you buy a bag of chips. First of all, that shit is like $2.89 now. And then it's going to really be like $294, $296 because they charging you tax on that shit. And it's like, yo, how in like 35, 40 years, they start taxing a bag of the price is right there on the bag. It says $2.89. Back when they used to say 25 cents, it just said 25 cents. Now it says $2.89, and then in real small letters right underneath it, it says plus a sales tax or some shit like that. So these ain't even, Esau, Edom, he's gonna basically take every last bit of whatever you have. So and this is why this nigga gotta go down, man. Esau, Edom is the worst, man. And I'll play one more quick video here and I'll start to wrap it up. But I don't want to vent too much in here, but let's take a look at this last video. This was another one I came across on X. Like I said, if you go on X, this is all you gonna see. This is it. You can see, before I even hit the play button on this, you can already see her face. So the other girl was pretty calm, in comparison to her here. But I'll go ahead and hit the play button with no further ado.
I'm fucking stressed out! I'm fucking stressed! We should not be working like this. I work my ass off and I can't even fucking pay bills, bro. And they always say don't compare yourself to others, but I see people going to Coachella and fucking like buying all types of shit, just pointless fuck you money, and I'm over here and can't even fucking pay my fucking rent, bro. I'm fucking stressed.
So we see these women are catching hell. They're starting to catch hell, and this is just the beginning. But just like the serpent told Eve in the garden, surely ye shall not die. So I believe that's Genesis chapter 3 and 4. Ye shall not surely die, Genesis chapter 3 and 4. And this is exactly what we're seeing. The serpent is still manipulating and beguiling the women. Feminist doctrine, you can do anything a man can do. You don't need a man. You don't even have to have kids. You don't have to be a wife. You don't have to raise a family. And this is exactly where Eve finds herself today. She's been tricked once again. This is how the serpent beguiled her all those millennia ago in the garden. And the same thing is still happening. These things keep happening. But ultimately, though, we are at the end of this kingdom. So it won't be too much more of this here. So I'm going to end this particular video with, I'm going to go back into Matthew chapter 24 again. Now end with verses 12 through 14. In the NLT, sin will be rampant everywhere, and the love of many will grow cold, but the one who endures to the end will be saved. And the good news about the kingdom will be preached throughout the whole world, so that all nations will hear it, and then the end will come. So we're almost up out of here. And I pray this has been edifying and reaches the ears it's supposed to reach. Shalom.